It Chapter 2, directed by Andy Muschietti, is a sequel to the 2017 film It and is based off Stephen King's novel of the same name. 27 years have passed and our beloved Losers Club have all grown up and moved on with their lives. That's until Pennywise reemerges from hibernation and decides it is time to wreak havoc on Derry, Maine once again. With Pennywise's reemergence, the Losers Club reconnect and join forces to put a stop to it once and for all. Alright, so I've been looking forward to this movie for quite a while now. I mean, if you've been around my channel for a while, you know how much I love the first It film and how much I specifically enjoyed Bill Skarsgård's performance as Pennywise. I actually rated It as my #1 film of 2017, so you can see how, I'd be extremely excited to see what they could do with the sequel. This is probably my second or third most anticipated movie of the year, somewhere in between Endgame and Episode 9. Still, I had insanely high expectations for It too, and I feel like my expectations were pretty much met for the most part. I've been sort of watching the Rotten Tomatoes scores from a distance because I wanted to see how the critics would judge this film, but I did make sure not to read much of anything because I don't want my perceptions of the film skewed at all before I even go into the theater. Regardless, I do have to say I'm a little bit shocked by the score on Rotten Tomatoes because I know the first one had like an 86% and this one currently is in the high 60s. Personally, I felt that It Chapter 2 delivered exactly what it was supposed to. And that's, of course, quality scares, some great casting and performances, some quality humor mixed in, and a touch of heart like the first one. The first one is a little bit better of a film overall, but I really don't think the gap is all that massive. Let me start by saying, though, that if you're a fan of the first one, I think you'll be happy to hear that the kids from the original film do have a strong presence once again. They show up in various flashbacks and, other type of things where they can provide additional context for the Losers Club and, how they've adjusted to growing up and, of course, dealing with Pennywise. My one major con when it comes to the kids is something that is out of their control. There's de-aging technology used on them, and it's definitely noticeable. Not in a good way, really. It kind of took me out of the movie just a little bit looking at some of their faces, that clearly have been manipulated to maintain consistency in terms of how the kids looked and sounded in the 2017 film. They've grown up a lot since then, and their voices and appearance have changed. And I don't know that there really was another option short of incredible foresight and shooting the kids' scenes for part 2 back in 2017. But you can tell their faces have been digitally touched up to make them look younger. Their voices have been raised in pitch, and it is noticeable, not so much in a good way. But the adult castings are absolutely dead on. I mean, every single adult feels like a naturally evolved version of the kid that played the character in 2017. Jessica Chastain is awesome, James McAvoy is awesome, Bill Hader is probably the biggest standout, and really every single one of the actors delivers something good. I bought each of them as the natural evolution of their character, and I felt like I was genuinely experiencing a natural second chapter of almost a 3-decade-long story. Each of the actors also has moments where they make you feel something due to their experiences with Pennywise or another member of the Losers Club, or their experiences in their new lives. All the performances across the board are quality, and they all felt like natural progressions for the characters. The casting and performances are one of the best parts of the film. But anytime you're going to see a horror film, you're going to want to know, is the film scary? I would say that It Chapter 2 is actually scarier than the first one, but I wouldn't say that either of them is like the scariest thing I've ever seen or anything like that. I think that the film does a really good job at building up to the scares. Instead of offering cheap jump scares, you get a steady build up to a manifestation of fear for one of the losers, and it's always scary in one way or another. I think that what both It films have done really well is making you feel like you're on a haunted house ride. The way that Pennywise preys on the fears of his victims makes for a really visually engaging horror experience that always feels like it's changing. Pennywise adapts to whatever makes the characters scared, and that makes for a fun horror experience because it's never one note. As for Pennywise himself, Bill Skarsgård absolutely nailed it once again. I mean, Pennywise is as mesmerizing here as he was the first time around, and I can't say enough good things about how he was handled. He's funny, he's scary, he's an all-around awesome villain that steals every scene he's in. I do wish that I saw him a bit more than I did, but as a whole, I don't think I had any problems with the pacing or just the 2-hour and 45-minute runtime. I think that many casual fans may not love the lengthiness of this runtime, but actually never felt disinterested or bored or anything like that. I never checked my phone for the time. I was pretty much locked in and felt like every scene mattered. So I was fine with the long runtime because I think they made it work. Speaking about the film overall, though, I think it does a really great job at balancing the various tones it's going for. The first one I always felt was more than a horror film because it also offered a lot of good comedy and a lot of good drama with the characters I actually cared about. This It film delivers more of the same. It provides comedy primarily through Bill Hader, but I think that some of the other actors also do a serviceable job, when they're asked to be comedic as well. I think the first It film is probably a little bit funnier, but I liked what this one offered, and I do like, again, the versatility of the overall experience. The last thing worth mentioning here is the final fight and the final act. I think that the final fight is awesome because the whole thing just turns into a horror spectacle. I love the visuals throughout the film, but the final fight delivers some truly awesome ones as Pennywise goes, after the fears of the Losers Club more intensively. The whole final fight just is an awesome spectacle, and that's a lot of fun to watch, and that's kind of what we're going to the movie for. A lot of times is for fun, especially with a movie like this. Fun and scares, obviously. The CGI can at times look a tad bit off, but overall, it's good. I didn't necessarily love how the final fight ends, but I understand why it happens. And, the way it happens overall, I'm fine with it. I don't think it will please everyone, but I think it should please most for the most part. Overall, though, I was pleased with It Chapter 2. I think it delivered similar quality to the first one, and it did meet all of my expectations. For the pros, cons. For the pros, I think It Chapter 2 has excellent casting and performances, some quality scares and horror visuals, quality comedy, and an awesome villain. As for the cons, I'd say the de-aging didn't look the best, and the way the final fight ended wasn't quite as satisfying as I would have hoped. I'm still going to give It Chapter 2 a 9.5 out of 10 because I really, really enjoyed it. And I do definitely recommend you check it out in theaters if you enjoyed the first or you're looking for a well-rounded horror film in general. I don't think you have to have seen the first, but obviously it helps. So did you guys see It Chapter 2 yet? What did you think of it? And if not, let me know why not. Also, if you have seen the first film, let me know what you thought of it. I'd love to discuss that because I actually love the first one even more than the second, as I mentioned. I actually pre-ordered a Pennywise bust that I'm super excited to receive sometime next year, hopefully, so I can creep out everyone that comes into my house with it, I guess. There's actually like a half-size one, like a statue too, but that one's like really expensive. I think that would definitely scare pretty much anyone that walked in the house at all. So in the next year or so, I'll make sure to show you guys whatever I get when I receive it. Probably the bus just for now. But either way, this is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.